Well, don't forget to plant some peppers. Hi everybody, welcome to Living Traditions Homestead. My name is Sarah and I am out in the garden. It is a wonderful spring day. Actually, it's a little bit hot, it's a little bit balmy, but I have a lot of work to do, so I'm pushing through it. And today I am planting our pepper plants. And pepper plants for me are one of the most important vegetables to plant in the garden. I use a lot of different types of peppers, chili peppers, bell peppers, spicy peppers, sweet peppers. I use them in a lot of different ways around the homestead. I use them in my cooking and I use them medicinally, and today is the day for me to plant all of them. This year we are planting 60 pepper plants. We've started all of them from seed here on our homestead using our new greenhouse that we put in over the winter, and it went really well. We're super excited. I planted more than I needed, and that way I can sell also the remainder of the pepper plants at the farmer's market. So today I wanted to talk with you about the pepper plants we will be growing in our garden this year, what I will be using them for, and how we plant them and how we're going to, grow them in the garden. Now, the pepper plants that we will be planting, the varieties this year, I'm planting one bell pepper variety called Giant Emerald bell pepper, and I will use that on the homestead fresh for fresh eating, and I will dice them, freeze them. Maybe I will dry some of them for powdering or for emergency use. The other sweet pepper that I'm going to be growing this year is called Alma Paprika. And the reason I've chosen that is to grow it and dry it and ground it into our own paprika on the homestead. I'll be using that just as general paprika, and I will also be using it as a main ingredient not only in my chili powder but also in my taco seasoning or just kind of all-purpose Mexican seasoning. So the rest of the peppers we are growing on the homestead are spicy peppers. We'll be growing cayenne peppers for grinding to use in the kitchen, grinding to use as medicine, and also I will dry it and flake it to use as like red hot pepper flakes on pizzas and sauces and those kinds of things. Also, I will be growing jalapeno peppers. I will be letting a lot of the jalapeno peppers go red. I will pick them, smoke them, and dry them so that I can use them as chipotle peppers. And then the red jalapenos I'll also be using to make homemade sriracha sauce. That is one of my very, very favorites. We're growing Tabasco peppers so I can make homemade Tabasco sauce. Kevin loves Tabasco sauce. And I will be raising Anaheim peppers. Anaheim peppers can be used to pressure can in small amounts and used as canned green chili peppers like you can get from the store. We're growing a variety called Minero pepper, which is from the Guajillo pepper family, and I'll be drying that to use in chili powders and those kinds of things. We're also growing poblano peppers. We primarily use poblano peppers to dry and to make into a powder and then into chili powder, and I have one lonely pepperoncini plant that I will be trying to grow as many pepperoncinis on that one plant as I possibly can because I love to pickle them and put them on my sandwiches and put them in my salads. So those are the varieties we're going to be growing this year and what I'm planning to do with them. Now, we are growing them in 2 rows. We're planting them 18 inches apart, and when they get big and lanky, I'm going to be supporting them with this fencing. Now we have these hooked up in the garden with T-posts. Kevin has installed them, and if cattle panels weren't so darn expensive around here, we would probably use cattle panels instead, but we already had this on the homestead and we just don't like to spend money. So we use what we have, and we used it last year and it worked great, so we're doing it again this year. So if you haven't been watching our channel recently, we have decided to completely redo the way we're doing this big in-ground garden. This big in-ground garden is 50 feet by 75 feet. We were hoping to be able to continue the back to Eden gardening method, but it just was not working for us last year, and we just need something that will work for us every year that we can get an abundant harvest out of right away. Because our main purpose here on the homestead, our #1 goal, is to grow as much of our own food as possible. I mean, all of our food, if we can. So we have tilled up everything, and we have used this weed fabric down here to grow inside of. Kevin and I have burned holes to prevent it from fraying. We've burned holes in each spot where we need to plant a plant. We've tacked it down with these industrial, like, staple kinds of things, and we're hoping that this is going to work for us this year. I will put information about this weed fabric and where we got it and what it's called and stuff in the description down below. You can get it from growersolutions.com, which we've had a fantastic experience with. Okay, so let's get planting peppers. I plant peppers very similarly to the way I plant tomatoes, and I just recently did a video about that. If you want to check it out, I'll put a link to that up here. And so what we're going to do is start with our wonderful little pepper plants. These have been growing for a while in our greenhouse. This is an Alma Paprika pepper plant. And we're going to be planting these in these holes that Kevin dug for me. He dug all these holes for me. He was such a nice guy. Speeds up the process for me. It doesn't tire me out as much. So we're going to be planting them in these holes. Now, my secret weapon for planting really most any kind of transplant is to start with some magic homestead fertilizer in the bottom of the hole. And on this homestead, that means rabbit manure. So I have a bucket of rabbit pellets here. We raise a ton of rabbits on the homestead for meat. And so I'm going to start with 1 handful and maybe a little bit more on the bottom of the hole. And that will give this pepper plant a really great start and transition into the garden. I'm going to take the little stick out. And in order to get this out of this pot, I'm just going to tip it upside down while supporting this plant with my fingers. I'm just going to tap on it to start loosening it up, and I'm going to press down here and start pulling it out gently, so hopefully it doesn't fall apart. Now, this soil is really wet, so it might fall apart, but I'm going to do my best to keep it all intact. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It has some nice roots on the bottom, but it's not root bound, so I know that I've gotten to it in a good time frame. Okay, so I'm going to carefully turn this upside down and or right side up, and put this in the hole. Now this hole has a perfect amount of space around the soil block. There's about 1 inch space all around, and we're going to backfill into there with some loosened soil, some native dirt, and we're going to put it all around those spaces, and we are going to kind of tap it into place down in there with your hands. And we are trying to reduce the amount of air space that is down in there. Now, you don't want air pockets in here when you're planting, because that will create a pocket of air and your roots will not grow into that pocket of air. They'll just kind of stay there. Okay, so we're pressing down in there, firming that all up, adding it until the soil is equal to the level of the soil in the garden. And by pressing down in there, we're also stabilizing that plant in there so it won't move around so much. Okay, I'm going to get as much of that soil as I can around there, and if I have extra, I'm going to pull up this fabric here and just push it in there. Push it down inside of there. And then press down firmly all around here. So, technically, my pepper plant is planted in the ground. But there are two more things that I want to do. The first thing is, I want to give it a little bit of water. So that it has a good start down in there. It can start growing and getting accustomed to the soil around it. Doesn't have to be a lot. And then the last trick is to put some more rabbit manure, some more rabbit berries or pellets, whatever you want to call it, around the top. Now, the nice thing about rabbit manure, well, there are several nice things about rabbit manure, but in this case, having the rabbit manure on top also acts as kind of these perfect time-released fertilizer pellets, so that when it rains, the water will seep into the manure pellets, and then the water will go through down into the plant. So all summer long, it will be fertilized. Now, a couple other nice things about rabbit pellets: if you're not raising rabbits for meat, you can just raise them for manure. Rabbit manure does not need to be composted. It's not hot. So you don't need to go through the long, lengthy process of composting it and then using it. You can use it right away as long as it's not soaked in urine. Our rabbits that we have in cages, now we raise our grow outs on the ground in movable tractors that we move every day. But our breeders are up in cages, and their poop falls down onto a dirt floor. And when they urinate, it also falls on the dirt floor, but then it can soak into the ground and separate from the poop. And the poop dries out, and then you can use that right away. And that's what I'm using today. So, there you go. That is exactly how we plant every single one of our pepper plants. Now you know, and you can try it at home. So you guys, I hope you learned something today. I hope I have made you confident and more encouraged to try growing your own peppers, your own vegetables, taking the next step in your garden. If you enjoyed what you're seeing and you are not a subscriber yet, right now is the perfect time to hit the subscribe button below. If you come back every day and are one of our traditionalists, welcome, and thank you so much, you guys. You mean the world to us. So if you enjoyed this, also make sure that you share it with your family and friends, because that really helps get the word out about our channel, and we really appreciate that. Until next time, you guys, thanks so much for stopping by the homestead. Take care, and God bless.